and for welfare to be improved. The next organization we want to look at is the International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund, normally called the IMF. These are their main functions. They promote stability in the global monetary and exchange mechanism. The IMF is a fund, is more or less like a bank. A bank is like the World Bank, but it's quite different from the World Bank. It supports countries that need some funds to develop. But normally when it supports them also, it gives them some conditions. It thinks if they adhere to, it will facilitate their development. So they promote stability in the global monetary and exchange mechanism. If your country's exchange rate is falling drastically, they can help you with some funds to stabilize your exchange rate. The second is to facilitate the expansion of international trade and balance growth in international trade. So as we learned, when countries are made to specialize because of international trade, what happens is that international trade is facilitated and there will be growth. If you specialize, you can produce more. Instead of being a jack of all trades, if you specialize, you can produce more, and you can even send the excess to other countries. That is what the International Monetary Fund assists in. They also assist in the establishment of multilateral system of payment for current transactions. So they help countries to by establishing systems that will help them make payments for transactions that are quite frequent and regular, right? And another function also is they conduct survey and monitor economic and financial development in the global economy. So apart from they giving out financial resources to assist countries, they also do a number of surveys to know the financial development of each and every country, and by that they can offer recommendations to the country as to what to do and how to grow. They also provide lending to countries with balance of payment problems. Ghana, for instance, have been facing a lot of balance of payments deficits mainly, but in this era of coronavirus, it's just recently I learned that we enjoy the balance of payment surplus. It is all because we are not importing. Balance of payment captures import and export. If your financial transactions on your imports are higher than your exports, you are likely to have balance of payment problems. If your exports, the monetary value of your exports are higher than your import, you are likely to enjoy balance of payment surplus. So Ghana, as a developing country, has been importing more than we export. By that, it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't help our currency. It doesn't help our local industries. So the IMF can come in and provide some support by lending out some money to buffer our export industry in order for exports to increase. And the last is they provide technical assistance and training for countries that make such requests. So they have experts and also technicians they send to countries to assist. They have economists that can give you technical advice as to how to manage your economy when the need arises. So the last but one we will look at is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, called the World Bank. Actually, this financial institution was specifically established to help mostly developing countries which need to transit from the being a least developed country or a low income country to a developed country or a high income country. So they assist countries that want to go under a restructuring process. For instance, Ghana being an agricultural country, if we want to restructure our economy to become an industrialized economy, the World Bank is ready to support. Okay, so let's look at some key functions of the World Bank. The provision of long-term loans at a low interest rate for purposes of infrastructural development. So for instance, if Ghana, we don't have very good transportation system, the World Bank can decide to give us a long-term loan which is payable after maybe 10 years to assist us develop our infrastructure. And you know, when your infrastructure is developed, it affects your production. If your transportation system is developed, it encourages production. It makes transporting goods from some village somewhere to even the harbor very easy for export. Okay, and the second is provision of technical expertise for the design and implementation of economic programs. So there are a number of economic programs that are supposed to be designed and implemented in a nation for a nation to develop. So they have good expertise. They have good economists, good people who are expertise in a number of areas that can provide their expertise to help a country implement some particular economic programs that will transform the economy. And these were normally are geared towards developing countries because we do not have very good expertise. So the third is provision of advice in the design of economic policies as well as their implementation. So they assist by giving countries that are not developing rapidly some advice to help them, and sometimes they are even involved in the designing of economic policies that can help such an economy. And the fourth is collection of important economic data and conduct of relevant research. So the World Bank even has much more reliable data than some individual countries. They collect reliable data on historical inflation, data on the historical economic growth, and based on this data, they use these data to conduct research to know what relevant economic policies can be implemented in different countries or in a region or an area. The last is collaboration with other international institutions like the World Trade Organizations and the International Monetary Fund with the aim of enhancing international trade and investment. As we learned the importance of international trade, how important it is, the World Bank also collaborates with the International Monetary Fund and also the World Trade Organization to ensure that trade is enhanced so that there will be development in the global economy. The last one is in West Africa, which is the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. These are their main objectives. The first is to promote trade and investment within the sub-region. So among we West African countries, one aim is that there will be trade and investment within this region. And also, do you remember we learned about free trade area? ECOWAS, for instance, is an example of a free trade area. So the second is promotion of peace and stability across the region. So it's not only looking at investment and trade, but to ensure that there is peace among countries within the region. And also prevention of conflicts and enhancing security. So we have the ECOMOG. The ECOMOG is responsible for peacekeeping amongst all nations within the ECOWAS. And the fourth objective is the development of regional infrastructure. Not just some few countries developing, but they are geared, they have the objective of ensuring that the whole region develops, the infrastructure of the whole region develops. And the last objective is enhancing policy harmonization across the region to enhance, to ensure that there is harmony in economic policies across the region, so that so one aim of ECOWAS is to realize that ECOWAS is number one, a free trade area, number two, a custom union, and also the countries within the region implement quite similar economic policies. Okay, let's look at the main challenges. The ECOWAS has a number of challenges it faces in the performance of their functions. The first challenge is prevailing conflicts within the region and political instability. So there are sometimes conflicts that threatens the unity of all members within the region. And there are some countries, some leaders would want to be quite autocratic and will not conform to some of the dictates of the ECOWAS. For instance, if there is instability, political instability, there is no peace in the country, some countries do not even adhere to the precepts of ECOWAS, which is a challenge for ECOWAS. And the second is lack of political will on the part of national governments to implement ECOWAS guidelines. So national governments sometimes do not have their own political role because they are affiliated to their colonial masters. Ghana, for instance, is affiliated to Britain. We are a member of the Commonwealth, and sometimes we receive dictates from them. So the ECOWAS as an economic unit sometimes do not have overall control over the political will of the national government. The third is inadequate financial and other resources. The ECOWAS is not having enough money to sometimes fund the infrastructural development of its members. For instance, if a country needs a loan, ECOWAS cannot really help because it doesn't have enough resources. And the last is inadequate or lack of infrastructure. ECOWAS, unlike the UN and also the IMF, does not have enough infrastructure to facilitate its activities across the region. They don't have enough offices in all the regions, and this is also a challenge to them. Thank you. This is the end of our lesson on international finance and international trade. Thank you for your attention. I will be expecting your questions. Have a wonderful time. Bye.